Manchester United have put out yet another statement, and this is a statement to basically say Jadon Sancho has been kicked out of training and forced to train with the kids due to disciplinary issues. Obviously, we know Sancho put out that statement. We know Ten Hag was not happy with that statement, and that statement was out on Sancho's social media profile for a week. It has been deleted after talks with Ten Hag, but it's sort of, and there has been rumours and suggestions that Ten Hag and Sancho are still a long way off sort of making up. Sancho doesn't seem too interested in saying sorry, is maybe being stubborn, and we know that Ten Hag has very, very high standards. So what essentially has come out is a Man United statement where they say Jadon Sancho will remain on a personal training program away from the first team group pending resolution of squad discipline. Now, I think this is a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing that obviously Ten Hag and Sancho haven't made up. I don't think it's a good thing that Sancho is not going to be available and Anthony is not going to be available. But I think it's a good thing that Ten Hag is disciplining Sancho. I think there's been reports and rumours coming out that Sancho's attitude and behaviour has been a distraction to the first team. The Athletic came out with a report just a few days ago saying, that Sancho was often late to training, he was often lazy in training, and teammates would complain about Sancho's attitude in training. There has been a feeling that Sancho has been a distraction to the dressing room. He's been causing a negative environment in the dressing room with sort of his attitudes towards Ten Hag and training. And maybe for that reason, it's best to keep him away from the first team squad. But the second reason I think this is a good decision, and I don't actually think, not having Sancho is a good decision, but the second reason this could be a good decision is it shows that those above Ten Hag are backing him. Ronaldo went on Piers Morgan, he caused disciplinary issues. Ten Hag kicked Ronaldo out the board, backed that. With this Jadon Sancho issue, we had reports that Murtha and Arnold were trying to resolve the situation between Ten Hag, Arnold and Murtha. The whole situation. But they've actually backed Ten Hag and they've gone, you know what, this player has disrespected you. We agree that we should kick him out of first team training. For me, this shows that those higher up are starting to back Ten Hag and kick Sancho out of training. Now, it's embarrassing that it's another statement from Manchester United, but if Sancho is causing problems in the dressing room, if Sancho is disrespecting Ten Hag, then I agree it was probably the right decision to kick Sancho out the dressing room. Despite Anthony not being here, it's very clear that Sancho and Ten Hag have not made up. Sancho has deleted his statement, but, the fact his statement was up for so long, the fact that the leaks had suggested there was a long way off, someone said this whole situation translates to childless footballer doesn't know how to say sorry. I think that, I like Ten Hag's no-nonsense discipline approach. Ten Hag has always tried to do what's best from Sancho from what I'm reading. Ten Hag gave Sancho 4 months off work, 4 months of football to work on himself mentally and physically. He was patient with Sancho. He showed Sancho so much love, and Sancho repays him by putting out reports that he's annoyed that Ten Hag said that he had a mental problem, and he's putting out statements saying he's being scapegoated and treated unfairly by Ten Hag, when Sancho has a reputation at every club he's been at for being late for training, not always putting effort into training, sleeping in, missing meetings, faking illnesses. Ten Hag wants high standards at United. He dropped Rashford because he was 40 seconds late for a match. He's dropped Garnacho for being late for a team meeting. Ten Hag's not going to go, now you're Jadon Sancho, the standards don't apply to you. If Sancho's continually not hitting Ten Hag's standards and Ten Hag isn't doing anything about it, then all the other players are going to be like, well, that's favouritism towards Sancho. All the other players will let the standards drop and go, well, I can get away with this if Sancho can get away with this. The fact that Sancho is not reaching Ten Hag standards and Ten Hag is disciplining like this sends a message to the rest of the squad that, they have to work harder. They have to do better. And that's what I like as well. I like Ten Hag's management because we've had a problem with dressing room players, with players not having the right attitude, right mentality at United. And if they're behaving poorly, if they're not training hard enough, if they're speaking out against the manager, the best thing we can do is say, well, you're going to be the one that's punished. And then when you make up with me, you can come back to the group. When you change your attitude, you can come back to the group, because that will stop the whole dressing room turning on Ten Hag as well. Because at the end of the day, I like Jadon Sancho. I want to see him on the right wing. I want to see him make up with Erik Ten Hag. And I really hope you see Pellistri play on the right wing now and not Bruno Fernandes. But Jadon Sancho, all Ten Hag said, and I don't think Ten Hag should have said it publicly, but all Ten Hag said is Sancho was dropped because he wasn't showing the standards in training. Now, Sancho has a reputation of not showing the standards in training at England and at Dortmund. And even at Manchester City as a youth product, he had a reputation for being late, causing problems, being lazy. So, Sancho's saying that Ten Hag lied and that he believes he hit the standards. I'm personally going to believe Ten Hag on that one. Ten Hag just said he wasn't hitting my standards in training, so I dropped him. That's all Ten Hag said. Sancho comes out with this statement saying, I'm being scapegoated, I'm lying, puts the statement out for a week, is apparently reluctant to make up and apologise to Ten Hag about it, and is annoyed at Ten Hag, and seems to be acting like a spoiled child in this whole situation, if you want my honest opinion. I really think he is. And this isn't me hating on Sancho. I like Sancho. But you know what? For me, no player is bigger than the manager. No player is better than the manager. Sancho needs to sort himself out or he's not going to play for United again. You know, players didn't have this authority over Sir Alex Ferguson, and Ten Hag's making sure no player has this kind of authority over him. So it looks like Sancho is now taking out first team training for a personal training program. And for me, you know, that is more statements than wins this season. You know, we've had more statements than wins this season, but that's what Ten Hag does. Rashford had a disciplinary, Garnacho had disciplinary, Ronaldo was dropped for disciplinary and then kicked out. Maguire had a performance, he was dropped for performances. You know, Anthony's been dropped for things that have gone off out the pitch. You know, De Gea, I think Anthony really got dropped for showboating, actually, didn't he, or something? De Gea, there was a U-turn in his contract because Ten Hag decided he wasn't a standard. Sancho's now a disciplinary. Erik Ten Hag is trying to install standards at Manchester United. He's trying to get the standards up. And for me, you've got to be backing the manager on this. I see people that are backing Sancho that want Ten Hag out because they don't like Anthony. We've got no Anthony. We've got no Sancho. We've now got to hope Pellistri does well. Ten Hag is very light on the right wingers. But Ten Hag is sending the message to the squad. If you undermine my authority, if you put statements out about me on social media, if you don't reach the standards in training, then you are out. And at the end of the day, I back Ten Hag on this because Ten Hag's whole reasoning for dropping Sancho was he knows there's a great player in Sancho. He was very patient with Sancho. He gave him 4 months out. He believes in Sancho, but he saw that Sancho doesn't work that hard in training. Is late. He actually tried to help Sancho by organising it so he would get to training an hour early to help him to try and get back to his best. And Ten Hag saw that Sancho wasn't willing to put the work in to get back to his best. So Ten Hag thought, well, I'm going to have to give him the kick up the arse and drop him, drop him out of the Arsenal squad. And Ten Hag thought dropping Sancho out of the Arsenal squad would give him the kick up the arse to want to work harder in training and prove himself and get back into the team. And Ten Hag was shocked by Sancho's response of going on social media and saying he's been scapegoated. And, it's been said that apparently Sancho doesn't take criticism well. He gets offended. He doesn't take it constructively. And he's annoyed at Ten Hag for criticising him, for dropping him, whereas Ten Hag thinks the mentality should be, I've criticised you. I've dropped you for your own good. Now grow up and prove me wrong. But Sancho goes on social media, doesn't want to apologise to Ten Hag, makes a big squabble about it. It's like, no, do what Wan-Bissaka did. Prove the manager wrong, work hard in training, use it as a kick up the arse. Ten Hag generally believed he was dropping Jadon Sancho for his own good to give him a kick up the arse, and cannot believe that Sancho's gone out on social media saying he's being scapegoated after all that Ten Hag feels he's done for Sancho. And now Ten Hag's annoyed at Sancho because he's like, well, I've got a player that's not interested in getting to training on time, not interested in working hard in training, is now a dressing room distraction, who could have a good opportunity coming up, but doesn't seem interested in apologising to me. And I feel sorry for Ten Hag because, this Sancho situation isn't his fault. This Anthony situation isn't his fault. At the end of the day, this is on the players. And I like Sancho, but for me, he should have apologised to Ten Hag. He should have taken the post down right away, and he should have done a Wan-Bissaka. He shouldn't be getting all offended that Ten Hag's called him out. There's a great player in Sancho with a great pre-season, and he should be working really hard to get back in the squad. Now there's an opportunity around with Anthony out, but he's not. Let me know your thoughts. Smash a like, smash a subscribe. Bye.